guys and welcome. I'm Lily. This is Legit Nutrition Hawaii. A good friend of mine, High Carb Hannah, and by good friends I mean someone who I watch on YouTube and probably has no idea I exist, except that she thinks my puppy's cute. Hashtag fan moment. She recently made a video about calories and weight loss. And since I've been thinking about calories and weight loss for like a good 15 years now, and I never get sick of the topic, I thought maybe you guys don't get sick of the topic either. And someone who watches my videos did come over to my Instagram and they commented and they were like, oh my god, High Carb Hannah just made this video and I'm so confused and it's making me really concerned and anxious. I don't know what to think. Can you please do a video? So this is me doing a video in response to what she said, and also taking this opportunity to kind of clarify where I felt like it could be useful and expand where I felt like it would also encourage a little bit of a deeper thought process about the calories and the weight loss. Because it can get really confusing. And I know that there are a lot of contradictory messages within the community, the high carb vegan community. And I know it's been really frustrating for a lot of people. And I've tried to clear as much of this as I could up in my weight loss series, although I do fully admit that this is an incredibly dense subject and we probably all need to hear it like 37 more times before we really start to get it. So here goes. I watched Hannah's video, and given the comment that I had received on Instagram, I was like, oh god, what did she say? But I watched the video and I was like, this girl gets it. So Hannah talks about this misunderstanding that's in the community, this like chronic misunderstanding about calories, and she and I are in the same boat. We're saying it slightly differently, and I feel like people are hearing the message that we're saying and they're interpreting it however they want to. So what I heard Hannah say was that we need to stick to whole plant foods. We need to make sure we're getting enough vegetables as well as fruits and starches, and that we don't have to overstuff ourselves with carbs. She's right. And I don't know if I've said it in, those exact words or that exact premise, but I know that I've said more than once, eat whole plant foods, a wide variety, and that when you're eating these whole plant foods, your appetite will regulate itself. So are we talking about should I eat a caloric deficit or should I eat a caloric excess to lose weight? My main message is don't purposefully eat a caloric deficit. And do not purposefully eat a caloric excess. Eat the foods your body is designed to eat. Whole plant foods, and your appetite will regulate itself. Your body is not stupid. It knows how much food to ask for, and it knows how to tell you when it's done. But in order to be able to communicate that to you, you have to eat the right foods. Whole plant foods. Don't fucking eat processed sugar, yo. Processed sugar is not doing anyone any favors. I might put a tablespoon of coconut sugar in my salad dressing at night, but that is the extent of it. White rice should not be a staple food if you are trying to lose weight. Flours and breads and other farinaceous products, hyper-palatable junk foods. That's the super salty, the fatty, the sugar-filled, the chemical-filled, addictive processed foods that overshadow your body's ability to tell you that it's had enough to eat. Should not be a part of your diet. If you are having trouble with appetite regulation, if you are having trouble with overeating, okay? Whole plant foods. You need the fiber, you need the nutrients, you need the water that's rich in these foods to create the bulk, to bulk out your digestive system and trigger the satiety mechanisms that are triggered by volume. So you have to eat a large volume of food to be full and satiated. Once you've eaten a large volume of food, your body will tell you that you've had enough. Now, in human beings, in our evolutionary past, it's difficult to say exactly what we were eating, but no one argues that prehistoric humans ate a shit ton of vegetable matter, we ate plenty of starches, and we ate plenty of fruit. So these are all whole plant foods that are bulky and create a large volume in the digestive tract. We ate tons and tons and tons of fiber. Our bodies need that fiber to regulate our appetite. And when we're eating these biologically appropriate foods, our body is able to get to a point where its hormones are communicating really effectively. That means that the hormones that are responsible for regulating your appetite, ghrelin and leptin, are able to function appropriately. So when you have plenty of fat on your body, those fat cells produce plenty of leptin. And leptin tells your brain to suppress your appetite. So when you're not eating hyperpalatable, refined, calorie-dense junk, your body can say, I need approximately this bulk of food, because in this bulk of food there are probably going to be X number of calories because it's whole plant food and that's what I was designed to eat. So once you get to that amount of bulk that your body has determined will probably have X amount of calories, since it's the correct, biologically correct food for your body, boom, you have perfect appetite regulation. This appetite regulation that tells you when you're hungry, tells you approximately how much to eat, and tells you when you're full might regulate your appetite into a caloric deficit, okay? You just heard me say it. You might naturally eat yourself into a caloric deficit while feeling satiated. And bingo, you'll lose weight. This does not mean that you purposefully make yourself eat 1,500, 1,600, 1,800 calories a day. I don't want you to think about calories, except to make sure that you're eating enough calories so that you actually have energy to function and exercise. Okay? Does that make sense? That when you're eating biologically appropriate foods, your body is able to regulate its own appetite to help you lose weight if you need to, or to maintain your weight if you don't need weight loss anymore. Your appetite will change on a daily basis. But don't underestimate the intelligence of your body when it has the inputs it needs. Whole plant foods. Your body was not designed for flour, for sugar, for oils, or other processed foods. It was not designed for any significant amount of calorie-dense animal foods to be a part of your regular diet either. If you're having trouble losing weight, you have to stick to whole plant foods. Now, where this can start getting tricky is that when you're consistently eating an abundant diet that provides you with sufficient calories, your metabolism is going to adjust. So Hannah in her video said that unless you're coming from a past of like severe anorexia, you shouldn't have any rebound weight gain. I disagree with that slightly. Now obviously someone with severe anorexia is going to have a rebound, and it could be significant. But we're living in a culture where overweight or obese people are encouraged by their medical doctors to restrict their calories to 500, 800, 1,500 calories a day. And that type of restriction is going to have major metabolic impact. In that situation, when you cut your calories so drastically, you might lose a little bit of weight, but you're also going to bring your basal metabolic rate down significantly. You're also going to get to a point where exercise doesn't sound like fun, and your body is going to start catabolizing its own muscle tissue. Once that person can't maintain such a restrictive diet, i.e. their brain creates enough cravings to make them binge, you end up having a slingshot reaction where their weight goes down a little bit and then it shoots back up, and they actually gain more body fat. And if they've done this yo-yo pattern enough times, they've gotten to a point where their basal metabolic rate has really crashed and their muscle mass is significantly smaller than it needs to be, and they're just not set up for burning significant calories. This person is also likely completely out of touch with their hunger and fullness cues, and their hormones are probably out of whack too. If this person suddenly starts eating a calorically sufficient whole foods plant-based diet, they're gonna have a little bit of a slingshot weight gain. They can't not. But if they're consistent about eating whole plant foods, their body will get on track, and they will begin to have metabolic adjustments. First and foremost, their basal metabolic rate will slowly get back to normal. As their body is confident that a caloric deficit or starvation is not on the horizon anymore, their metabolic rate will slowly creep up. Also, from the standard American diet and the yo-yo dieting pattern, they probably had pretty unhealthy insulin levels, which can and does affect all the other hormones in their body. If it was even worse and they've started having endocrine dysfunction like hypothyroid or adrenal fatigue, their body's ability to regulate and manage their weight is already pretty fucked up. And if you suddenly take someone with hypothyroid and put them on a calorically sufficient whole foods plant-based diet, they're probably going to gain weight. If they're consistent with their diet and their sleep and their hydration, etc., then there's a very good chance that their thyroid and adrenal function will pick up. But it takes a little while. Does this mean that that person should purposefully restrict their calories? In my opinion, absolutely not. Should they purposefully shovel in more carbohydrate calories than they need? In my opinion, absolutely not. They should eat to their appetite. As a person starts to balance out and gets healthier on a whole food plant-based diet, if there has been any weight gain, that should easily reverse itself. And then you do actually get to a point where, as a vegetarian or vegan eating a high carbohydrate diet, you have a higher basal metabolic rate. And your body is able to burn off excess calories instead of storing them. And it does that through things like dietary thermogenesis, which is taking any extra calories above and beyond what you need for your metabolism and above and beyond what can be stored as glycogen in your muscles and liver, and it just burns them off as heat. This is not something endocrinologically unhealthy people can do. You have to have a healthy thyroid, you have to have healthy adrenals, you have to have healthy insulin levels for this to work. And you get to that point by consistently sticking to a nutrient-dense, whole food, plant-based diet. Whole plant foods. Okay? In addition, vegetarians and vegans have been found to have an 11% higher resting metabolic rate than meat eaters. And this has been found because on the high-carb vegan or vegetarian diet, there was a higher gene expression for an enzyme called palmitoyltransferase. And this enzyme shovels fat into mitochondria and produces energy for your body. So as a high-carb vegetarian or vegan, once you've gotten to a point where your body has adjusted and what needs to be healed has healed, your metabolism starts to go up. As you eat enough and you sleep enough and you're hydrated consistently, your body starts functioning at a higher level. So when Hannah or I get these messages all the time too, from, it's usually younger girls who switch to a high-carb vegan diet and they gain weight, I am not surprised, because the children that are being born and have been born in the last 20 years have been consistently exposed to hormone-disrupting chemicals since preconception. I am not surprised that their endocrine systems are not functioning appropriately. And getting to the point where they can function appropriately takes a little bit of time. Hannah's observation is, in my opinion, completely correct, that these people have also been prioritizing eating carbs over other food groups. Specifically, refined carbs like white rice, processed sugar, cereals, breads, etc. And this has, in large part, I do believe, been the doing of Freely and Harley, who, in coming away from their whole foods, health-focused diets towards more refined carbohydrates and such, has really done a disservice to this movement. Whole plant foods need to be the focus. I think Hannah was also really spot on in her assessment that we need to be eating more vegetables. And I think that, honestly, I hadn't even thought of this, because for me, it's just like an assumption that everybody understands that we need to be eating more vegetables. And I mean, if you look at the photos that I post on Instagram and what I post on YouTube, it's like fruits and vegetables make up the bulk of my diet. With most of my meals, I have a huge salad alongside. And that salad is full of not only, like, you know, lettuce and tomatoes, but also lots of cabbage and carrots and peppers and jicama and really nutrient and fiber dense foods that also happen to be pretty low in calories. So if you see there's a huge bulk and the calories are pretty low. And then in addition to that, I'll have a bowl of rice or potatoes or sweet potatoes or some other kind of whole grain, along with legumes. I think legumes have been like totally glossed over on this lifestyle. And I was one of those people. Like, I didn't eat beans or lentils for years because I thought they were too high in protein and they're not good for you. They're unnecessary. They are necessary. They're full of vital nutrients, tons of fiber. And some of that fiber is like the best food ever for the hormone and appetite regulating gut bacteria that live in your large intestine that have so much to do with thyroid function and immune function and your overall health. So legumes really need to be a part of your diet as well. I mean, the Epic Panacea study, there was like one of the largest nutritional studies ever, found that people who eat like 5 or more cups of beans every week lose weight, even though they're eating more calories. There is something to be said for the magic of whole plant foods. I say magic, I mean fiber, I mean nutrients. So I think Hannah's assessment is very right. A half-half of nutrient-dense, low-calorie vegetable foods over here, and then you have your higher caloric density starches and fruits and grains, etc. And when you eat a diet like that, that's the diet that we should be eating. Whole, large variety of plant foods. The processed foods have to go. If you're new to this lifestyle, I personally am not surprised when I see a little slingshot of weight gain, especially if you come from a past of dieting. You don't have to necessarily have to have been anorexic for that restriction to have affected your basal metabolic rate. You also have to think about the health of your endocrine system, and you also have to be really mindful of other habits, like sleeping and your gut health, how much water you drink every day, salt consumption, all this kind of stuff. And this video is a part of it, but I've made a 20+ video weight loss series that attempts to break down a lot of the intricacies of weight loss. Please do watch those if you would like more information. The longer that you are on a nutrient-dense, whole plant food diet, the more efficient your body will come at processing calories, burning off any excess calories that it doesn't need instead of storing them, and increasing your basal metabolic rate. The longer that you're on a nutrient-dense, whole plant food diet, the better your body will get at regulating its own appetite. The hormones will come back into balance, you'll start to be able to sense your hunger and fullness cues better, your digestion will be more efficient, and your body will be better at knowing how much it needs to eat, and it will tell you that if you listen to it and if you feed it the right foods. Focus on eating nutrient-dense foods. And as you stick to this kind of diet, you'll naturally lose weight while feeling really full and satisfied and energetic. Like Hannah said, this doesn't mean that you have to restrict yourself. You don't have to stop eating when you're still hungry. You can still eat more food. You're just trying to bulk out that food with really nutrient-dense vegetables. It's how we were supposed to be eating. And as your body adjusts to this diet, as your metabolism responds, as your body upregulates the genes of fat-burning enzymes, your body will find a good place for itself, as long as it is whole plant foods. I also will specify that, yeah, I eat white rice sometimes. I used to not, because my body couldn't handle it as well. But now that my body is healthy and my metabolism is really stoked and I'm thriving and I feel good and super energetic and my hypothyroid has cleared up, I can eat processed foods sometimes now. And I'm also in touch enough with my appetite that when I eat an appropriate portion of those foods, which, to be fair, is a much larger portion than other people would consider an appropriate portion, I'm done and I can feel that I'm done. Okay. I'm going to end this video now, otherwise I will just keep rambling endlessly. I'm really glad that Hannah made this video because it just pulls up the issue again that calories are pretty misunderstood and our metabolisms are pretty misunderstood, and it needs to be talked about and repeated again and again and again. And I think that Hannah is doing an excellent job on her channel of promoting a really sustainable, reasonable, healthy diet that's going to allow a lot of people to succeed long term. You know, it's not just about weight loss. It's not just about eating what you can get away with, like processed sugars and processed foods. It's about eating a nutrient-rich, whole plant food diet that is going to keep you healthy your whole life. Alright, thank you for watching. If you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up. If you happen to like me, you can subscribe, and I will show up in your feed a few times a week or so. Until next time, make better choices for you, your metabolism, and your natural satiety mechanisms. And take really, really, really good care. Also, get a copy of this book if you want to read about the enzyme palmitoyltransferase, page 113. And if you want to educate yourself a little bit more thoroughly on the importance of whole foods for appetite regulation, get a copy of this book. Read it 6 or 7 times. And I also do think that it's important to mention that it is officially dolphin drive hunt season in Taiji, Japan. Get on this website, educate yourself, sign the petitions, put pressure on the Japanese government to stop this horrible atrociousness, and never, ever, 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 ever visit sea life parks like SeaWorld and its counterparts that are driving this horrible practice all over the world. I'll see you next time.